Yeah, welcome to the MuleSoft session. So today we are going to discuss about the one of the most important topic, that is data view. Data view 2.0, it's a version of the data view transformation language that we are going to use to transform the data. And it is portable for the Mule runtime 4.x versions, specifically for 4.4 and above versions. So let's discuss about the MuleSoft data view transformation language. So data view is a data transformation language, as I said, and which helps developers to process the data. All kind of data conversions, iterations, lookups are some of the applications of data view. Okay, all kind of data conversions means you can convert one form of data to another form of data. So this kind of data transformations, data filtrations, data aggregations, if you want to perform any kind of operation on the data, so data view is the solution in MuleSoft. Please remember this. Okay. And if you see this syntax, this will be the simple sample syntax for a data view code. It consists of header part. So this is the divider. It differentiates between the header and source code. This will be the header part, which consists of data view version and the output MIME tab. Output MIME tab, which specifies the output of this particular script. Okay. And coming to the source code, so here after this divider, the source code exists. So this is where the logic uh, relies. Okay. So this is where exactly the logic exists, guys, in the source code part. And coming to this, after just above this divider, you can declare the variables, you can declare the functions. Okay. So that declared variables and functions, we are going to use in the source code only. Whatever you declared in this particular space, right, the variables and functions, they have just scope within this script. Outside this script, the scope of the functions and variables does not exist. And coming to this MIME tab specifies the data type of the output payload. Okay. So we have here the MIME tab consists of two parts. One is type and other is subtype. The type is application. Subtype is JSON. Okay. Under application, under this type, there could be multiple subtypes. It depends upon the output that the client is expecting. In this case, we are expecting JSON output. So the application slash JSON will be the MIME tab. If you are expecting XML, application slash XML will be the MIME tab. Let me write that. So application JSON will be the so this JSON will be the subtype for this type application in order to get the output payload in the form of JSON format. So if the client requirement is to fetch the output in the XML, so this will be the output MIME type, application slash XML. In this way, we have different format output MIME types. So here, if you can see, the application is common for all these MIME types. Okay. So the type is common. Under this type, the subtypes differs. JSON, XML, Avro, Java, CSV. So these could be different uh, subtypes for this type application. And coming to the data view basics, so we should know how to extract the data. Okay, because the point of making use of data view transformation language is to work on the is to process the data. Okay, so we are creating the APIs, right? The job of API is to make the data communication happen between client and server. Correct, guys? So to make the data communication happens, we have to process the data and we have to perform so many operations on the data. So that's why we are using a data view here. And one of the basic operation is extraction of data. So you should be able to extract the piece of data from a input payload. Okay. So whatever that is sending in the in the form of body, okay, by the client or the end user, so that will be considered as payload, input payload. And whatever the response after data refinement or data processing that we send back to the user, so that we consider as output payload. Okay. Everything
Hi, Akash.
Yeah, hi Sonali. Everything here consider as payload itself. So data view to extract the data, so it will be the one of the basic part of data view. Okay, to extract the data, these are the 11 methods we have in data view. Okay, so I will just name them: single value selector, multiple value selector, descendant selector, index selector, range selector, key value pair selector, XML attribute selector, namespace selector, selector modifiers, filter selectors, metadata selectors. So these are different methods we will be using depending on the scenario, guys. Okay, how we need to plug the data. So depends on the use case. We are going to use these extracting operators. We call this 11 as data extraction operators. Okay. So to see one by one, we will be using data view. Okay. So let's log into the data view. So to before implementing the actual API, we can know the functionality of data extracting operators using the data view playground, guys. So just search for data view playground. You will be able to see this kind of interactive interface. Okay. So before coming to the data view, let's try to understand this JSON. Okay. What is actually JSON? So JSON is a data type which consists of which comprises strings, arrays, key value pairs. So we call it as object. Okay. So these two comes under the collection of elements. Okay. Arrays and key value pairs are nothing but collecting elements at one place, and it is a string. So all these three, we consider this as a JSON data type. Okay. These three comes under the JSON only. Please remember that. Coming to the key value pairs. Okay. If the user wants to send the data in the body format, he has an option to select the JSON, which is which supports the key value pairs, and he has an option to opt XML formats as well. So as we are discussing JSON, let's stick with these three: strings, arrays, key value pairs. So the sample uh, key value pair or sample object looks like this one. So this will be the sample key value pair. Okay, there may be complex JSON objects will be there. Okay, so I will also be going to show the complex JSON object as well. But before going to that, let's consider this sample object as input. And if you want to plug this value, okay, from this input payload, what will be the data view syntax? What is the expectation? Expectation is output, right? So we are expecting value. Okay. what is the value stored in the key. So this will be our expectation. In order to get the value that is stored in this particular key, you will be using a data view expression. So what will be the data view expression? Generally, the data view expression starts with mentioning its version, and you should be mentioning its MIME type. So the MIME type is this one, and we will be having a header, a divider part to differentiate the header and source code. So what will be the source code, guys? Here you should be writing the logic to plug the value of key. Okay. Consider this as a payload, input payload or output payload. Both are payload only. So consider that as a payload, and from this payload you are extracting the value of key. So how to extract that value of key? You should just mention you are trying to extracting this key, right? So use dot and keep that. So this particular expression will give you the value as value only. If there is any other thing here, okay, instead of value, just give some any other value. Okay, so what will be the value now? Payload dot key will become resonance. So this is how a simple data view expression looks like. So plugging a if you want to plug exact specific single value, then go for the data view data extracting operator. Okay, let's now look some complex JSON structures as well. Complex JSON structure may be consisting all of this combination of all of this. Okay, so the JSON structure should be at the end of the day it should be having key value pair format itself, even though it is consisting a combination of all these three things. Okay, so the key one is having the string format. Okay, it satisfies the string. Now let's write the array and apply it for key 2. Now, so key value pair. So inside a key value pair, you may be having the key value pair again. Okay. So that we call it as a nested key value pair. Okay. Let's define the key value pair here. So this will be one of the, we can call it as a complex JSON format structure. Okay. So, but it also consists of uh, key value pair format itself. See here, just consider this as a key, and this will be the value of that particular key. That is a string. Okay, and this will be the array. This will be the object. That is key value pair again. Okay, the the overall key value pair also have a nested key value pair. This one. Okay, so it is also a key value pair, right? So if I want to plug this string, what will be the data view syntax here? Okay, consider this as an input payload. So that should be a payload itself at the end of the day. So start writing the data view syntax with using the payload. If you want to extract the string as ABCD, So you have to extract the value of this key. So in order to extract it, use the Dataview data extracting operator, that is dot, and after that you have to keep that particular key name. So this will be giving you result as ABCD. Okay. If you want to plug this particular array, what will be the Dataview syntax case? Payload dot key to. Okay. You don't need to keep in quotes. Okay. If even you if you're keeping that in quotes, it will work. Even if you're not, it will work. Okay, both are same. And this will give you this one array. See, if I want to, like, if I'm going to add one more string called apple here at the end, so I want to plug that particular apple itself. I don't want the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what I will do, I will make use of the key to itself, because the apple exists in the key to only. And within this key to, I will be checking the index position of the apple. Okay. Because when it comes to array is a collection of elements, and inside the array, the elements having their own positions, index positions. So in order to plug the specific element of from an array, you will be making use of index positions, guys. So in this case, the index position of apple is, so how one can decide the index position of a element of an array? So I will show that. Okay. So let's paste it. So this will be the array, and the index position starts with 0 when you consider the positive index. So negative index starts from -1, guys. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be the positive index positions. In order to fetch this particular apple from this array, which index position you are going to use? 5. So within this payload dot key to, this value exists, right? You will be plucking the apple from that using this index position 5. So I'm going to use the index position 5 in order to plug the apple. So I also mentioned index position, which is negative index. Negative index always start from the right side. Positive index starts from the left side. Please remember this. So negative index starts from the right side. So that will be the -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Okay, guys. So in order to plug the apple, you may use positive index, you may be using negative index. That's your choice. Okay. You can also use the negative index. So just first payload dot key to mention that this will fetch the entire array, and from the entire array you are concentrating on the apple. So to fetch that particular apple element, you will be using the negative index or positive index. In order to use the negative index, -1 will be the option, because -1 represents apple position in negative. Any doubts up to here? Okay, let me add one more key. One more key here. See, guys, in total we have four keys in this complex JSON structure. Okay. In total we have four keys now. So the complex JSON structure consisting of this nested loops, sorry, nested data types. So I will be using one more array here. This time array will be collection of objects. Yes, collection of objects. See guys, here the fourth key, concentrate on the fourth key. So it has a value of an array. Okay. If you see the high overview of this particular value, it says it's a array of key value pairs only. Okay. So this will be one of key value pair and this will be second key value pair. So what will be the data view syntax to fetch this value 6? The requirement could be anything, right? If you want to fetch this value 6, so what will be the data view syntax? First, you have to look their parent elements. Okay. So the value 6 is associated with sub key 6. The parent element of sub key 6 is key 4, which exists in the payload. So the data view syntax to fetch this value 6, payload dot key 4 dot. Okay. So here you can be you should be using like index position again because the key 4 is in the format of array. Okay. So the sub key 6 exists in the first index position of this array. Okay. Consider this as a 0th index position and this will be the first index position. So the first index position is 1. So within this first index position, you will be concentrating on sub key 6, which is giving the value as value 6. Yes. So any doubts up to here? Okay, let's make use of this data view playground to understand more. Here, by default, it is giving the input payload in the format of JSON, which consists of key as message, value as hello world, and in the script, okay, which which eventually gives the output. Okay. Here the script consists of the expression as payload dot message. That means the payload is this one, guys. Okay, whatever I selected, this will be the payload. Within this payload, they are using the dot as extracting operator and message as the key to extract that particular payload. So payload dot message will gives you hello world. Okay. So let's remove this and take our own example. So why it is 1 second, guys. Any think there are some errors here. Let's see. Okay. Think we should not be keeping 0 here. See, as payload dot message is giving null. Why? This will be our first question. It was earlier hello world, but now it is null. Why? Because from the payload, it is going to search for the key message. Check the payload. Are you able to see any message? No. So that's why it is giving null. Means the compiler is saying us, I try to find the key message within this payload, but I didn't find anything. So I'm giving you the output as null. This will be the response. Just remove this message. Let's work on this employee details. I want to fetch employee ID. Okay. What will be the data view syntax? So dot will be the extracting operator and dot employee ID will be the syntax. We generally think like this, but it is giving you null. Why? Even though employee ID exists here, it is giving us null. Because you should be checking their parent elements correctly. Okay. The employee ID is not directly associated with payload. It's first associated with the with its parent employee details, and then it associated with the payload. So just first use employee details in between the payload and employee ID. Then you will be able to extract the value as 93774. Okay, understand guys? So consider this payload as grandfather of employee ID. In between grandfather and grandchild, child. So father will be there, right? So you should be mentioning the father name as well. So this will be the simple data extracting operator. You can use n number of times the dot depending on the parent element. What if you want to fetch employee name? Just keep dot after the employee details. You will be able to see suggestions. Okay. So there are two keys present in employee details. You can select employee name. It will bring you Akash. Hey guys, I was checking the type of this payload. Type of payload is object since it is in the form of key value pairs. The value of employee details is this one. And the value of employee name is Akash. Value of employee ID is 93774. Value of employee details is this one. Entire key value pair. The selected key value pair. Okay, let's add one more key called employee role. So I will be defining the employee roles of these employees, Akash, Sonali, Gayatri, and Nagesh here, using the collection called array, collection of employee, employees, employee designations. Okay, categorizing by their name itself. Now close the array. Okay. Now this will form a collection of employee details. Now this will also a complex JSON structure. Okay, guys. So this will always give the type of payload as object because it is in the form of key value pair. Remove the type of payload and just mention the payload here. Here, I want to like check the employee designation of 1 second. Let me change the employee designations here. So I want to check the employee designation of Gayatri here. So what will be the syntax, Gayatri? So make use of the concept of
Yeah, payload dot
payload dot employee details
employee details,
existing. Yes, correct.
employee role.
Dot should be there, right? Employee role.
Yes, yes, yeah, dot.
See, just first understand this. When you enter this payload dot employee details dot employee role, it is giving the value of employee role. Okay. So the value of employee role is this one. Whatever I selected, it is matching with that. Okay. And within this employee role collection, you will be focusing on Gayatri. Yeah, Gayatri, go ahead. What will be your next step in order to get your designation?
Yeah, dot
Dot
employee description.
employee designation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is
Uh,
giving all the designations of employees.
yes.
I want just your designation. I don't want every other designation. So if you want to plug your designation, okay?
Yeah.
See, just consider this an array. At the end of the day, it is an array. Array follows index position, right? So what
Yes.
will be the index position of Gayatri, the employee Gayatri? 0, 1, 2. So 2 will be the index position of Gayatri here. So you will be using index position as 2. See, this is giving you employee name Gayatri and employee designation as middleware. But if you want specifically employee designation, okay, then plug out employee designation from this output, which is representation, which is like the output of this data view expression. Keep dot and select the employee designation. You will be going to get the employee designation of Gayatri.
Okay.
See, I have created a key called result1 to store the result of the Gayatri's designation. Okay. It is not part of the input. It is created by us. Okay. To just make sure to just differentiate between different results we are going to see. And if you like, there is a scenario to pluck out all the employee names from this particular details. So what will be the syntax, guys? So there comes multi-value selector. Okay. So multi-value selector is the syntax of multi-value selector is this one. See, multiple value selector dot star. You will be using the key again to extract all the matched values of key from an object. So this is an object. If I want to plug the employee names, because there are multiple employee name keys are there. If I want to plug the employee names here using the dot star multiple value selector. See here when I'm trying to use dot star multi value selector dot employee name is exist here, but it is giving us null. Why, guys? So just don't consider this particular one because it is related to the first line number 5 data view expression. Coming to line number 6 data view expression. So it is checking for multiple matching employee names within the payload. But when it tries to check the payload, it will encounter with this particular key, employee details. Okay, is it matching with the employee name? No. You can ask me, Akash, employee name exists within the payload only, right? But why it is not able to recognize the employee name? Because uh, it will first check the parent element. The parent element is payload here in with when it comes to data view expression, the parent element we are uh, giving it as the payload. Inside the payload, it will check for all the employee names. There is no key called employee names at all. Employee details are there. But to specifically mention, you have to mention the let me use one more key called multi2. So this will be also a multiple value selector. Here let us use employee details and dot star employee name. Okay. See here. Dot star employee name. And the compiler is going to check what are all the matching keys with this employee name. Wherever star exists, so it will just look for those keys in the particular parent element. In employee details, we will be having only one employee name. Okay, these employee names are exist in employee role, not in employee details. So that's why it is giving array of array. Okay, what we call this array of array. Why I'm calling it as array of array? So this array, the first array, this one, this represents collection of values from the matched keys. Okay, so there is only one matched key, that is employee name, which has the value of as array. So that's why it is giving you only one element. If you have multiple employee names in employee details, see, it appended that value to the array, because I said whenever you are using dot star multi-value selector, the response always in the form of array. It is a collection of matched values. Okay, so it will be going to look for the matching keys. Employee name, how many times it has matched? Two times. One consists of the array of employee names and another consists of a single employee name. So it is collectively giving you as a array. Always remember the result of dot star, that is multi-value selector, is in the form of array. This array is not because of multi-value selector. This array because of the value itself, this one. But this array, this one, array because of matched values, multi-value selector. And in order to like plug the employee names from employee role, okay, you have to specify the path, guys. You have to specify the path. Inside the payload, there is a employee details, and inside the employee details, there is an employee role. So you have to specify that and make use of dot star as a extracting multi-value extracting operator. Here you will be using employee name as a key, and we are asking the compiler to check all the matched employee names from the employee role which present in employee details of a payload. Okay. Now you will be able to understand. In multi-3, it is fetched all the collection of matched employee names. And let's check one more example for multi-value selector itself. This time, I don't want to follow the path, parent elements, but still I want the employee names from the payload. Okay. In that case, you will be using descendant operator. What is descendant operator? Let's check that. Descendant selector dot dot. Please remember the syntax. Dot dot will be the descendant selector. So dot dot my key will be the syntax to extract all the matched values of my key. So whatever key exists, that key from list of descendants in an object. Okay. So what is descendants? Descendants means childs of childs. Okay. So employee designation is the descendant of role, employee role. And employee role is a descendant of employee details. Employee details is a descendant of payload. Okay. So that is nothing but perspective, guys. When you ask what is uh, employee details with respect to employee role, it's a descendant of employee role. What is employee role with respect to employee designation? Employee role is a parent of employee designation. Okay, it's just a perspective to understand the point in different ways. Uh, to plug, as I said, if you don't want to use the parent elements and you want to plug out the employee names, then go for the descendant selector. So descendant one, payload dot employee, one second, dot dot, right? Employee name. So what it is giving in descendant one, just concentrate on this. So the descendant one, payload dot dot this employee name means it will be going to check for employee name in this particular payload in its descendants. So inside the payload, so the first descendant is employee details. Check for the employee name in the employee details. Yeah. Whatever first time it encounters, right, it will consider that only. It will not consider every other. See, we are mentioning employee name and it is considering the employee name, the first employee name only. The second employee name, it is not considering. And it is going to check for other employee employee role. Okay. Here in employee role, in employee ID also there is, it is not there. Employee name is not there. So that's why it is not checking, guys. Okay. In employee role, we have employee names again. So it will consider those employee names and collected in an array. See here. Okay. Rajesh is missing because whatever first time it encounters, right, it only consider that one. It will not consider second employee name. In employee role, it is considering employee name Akash. If you try to keep one more employee name, So it is not considering that. Okay. So for one element, it is going to consider only one first element which like comes into picture when it is trying to look for that. No, Akash, no matter what, I want every employee names. Then in that case, you will be using the combination of descendant and multi-value selector. Okay. So that will be comes under the multi-descendant. Payload dot dot, you have to using star employee name. See, just take the multi-descendant to value. So it is fetching all other, every matched values. Okay. In multi-descendant, payload dot dot star employee name means whatever the value matching with employee name, it will collect it as a collection. See, in employee name, it is Akash, Sonali, Gayatri, Nagesh are present as a collection because it itself a collection, and Rajesh is there because it's just a string. And under the employee role, there are again employee names present, such as Akash, Sonali, Gayatri, Nagesh. This time, these are just strings. This is an array, and these all other are strings. Finally, we got a collection of one array and strings. Any doubts up to here, guys? So this will be single value selector, guys. This will be the multi-value selector. This will also be the multi-value selector. This is a descendant selector. This will be the combination of multi-descendant selector. Any doubts up to here, guys? Okay. Now let's move for the range selector. Index selector is also there to extract the data from an array. So we will be using the index selector. Let's remove this. As we know, array also comes under the JSON, right? See here, every key is giving the output as null because the payload, we changed the payload. Depending on the input payload, the Dataweave script works. Okay. Inside this payload, it is looking for employee details, employee name. Okay. But it's an array of elements. It doesn't have any keys. In order to fetch the keys, it should be in key value pair, not in the array format. That is on object format. It should be expecting object format. So since there are no elements that are matching within the payload, so that's why every key is giving the response as null. Now coming to the index selectors. The index will be, okay, one second. Okay, guys, now it is throwing input, invalid input. Okay. This comma is not working because it is considering this comma as a comment. Okay. Because after commenting, you kept this comma. It will not work. Because of this comma only, it is throwing error. Okay. For all the end of the keys, we specified the commas. Okay. That means end of that particular line. If I keep the comma here, the error gone. See. So in data view, this is how we comment the lines. So once you comment the lines, the editor will consider that will be going to avoid executing that line. Okay, when editor is executing from top to down, top to bottom, in the particular line number 5, the selected single value selector is gets avoided when it is executing, because after these forward slashes it will consider this everything as a comment. That is just for our purpose, not for the editor, and editor is going to avoid executing that. So it avoided this comma in earlier case. That's why it was throwing error. So what I did, I kept this comma here in order to remove that error. Just focus on the line number 11. We have an array because the it is pointing to the payload. If we know that if we want to plug particular element from an array, we should be using the index position of that element. For example, if you want to plug letter A, so what will be the index position of the letter A? 5. See, index position is 5 because index position always starts with 0 in terms of positive. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And negative 1 from negative indexing, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So minus 5 will be the negative index of letter A. So that's why for both +5 and -5, it is giving you A itself. And if I want the numbers only from only numbers from this array, then I will be going for range selector. Okay, it is consider this, it comes from, it inherited from the index concept. Okay, here we need to mention the start index position and end index position to extract the range of values from a list or from a collection. So it's a collection. If you want to extract a range of values, so what will be the range of values? Only numbers. So I will be performing the range selector on the payload. Use the square brackets to like mention the start index position and ending index position. The starting index position is 0, ending index position is 4 for the numbers. 0 to 4. See, I will be able to fetch the numbers. Now I want to fetch the alphabets. Payload dot will not work here. You will be using the index selector only. So the index position starts from the 5 to what is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 to 9. So 5 to 9 gives you collection of alphabets. You can also use negative index payload -1 to -5 will be the ending position for A. But only thing is, so -1 to -5 gives the order in reverse index. Okay. E, D, C, B, A. See here. It is giving the order in reverse, guys. Okay. From right side to left side, it is covering because you mentioned the starting index position as -1, ending index position as -5. In order to get the order in from like left to right, you will be using -5 to -1. So just copy this. -5 represents letter A. -1 represents letter E. So that's why it is able to fetch -5 to -1. Okay, guys. So we successfully completed all these five data extraction operators. Let's discuss this other data extraction operators in next session. So that's it, guys, for now.